Saskatoon's economy, but more importantly, the people that live here continue to make contributions and seeing success. Patrick J. Wolfe is a lifelong resident and an investor here in the city and helping things happen. Patrick, thank you for making some time for us today.
Pleasure to be here.
I want to ask you a little bit about yourself. You grew up in the city and you still make your home here. Tell us about your history growing up in Saskatoon.
Well, again, I'm very proud to be a lifelong resident of Saskatoon, with my grandparents coming over around 1914 and getting married downtown at the St. Paul's Cathedral, at least from one side, and the rest came from Quebec. And, we've always been proud to make this our home. And I come from an entrepreneurial family. My dad had worked in the infancy of government telephones, but always that entrepreneur on the side. And they had for many years the Manhattan Ballroom, and we had various businesses, starting with my brothers, Wolfe Brothers Carpet Store, myself, Wolfe Home Furnishings. And so it ran in our blood, this entrepreneurial spirit. And really this ongoing commitment and pride in our city, because we really, I consider myself a citizen of the world. I hope to travel to every country on earth and space before I leave, and doing a pretty good job of that. But this is where I live. This is my home, and this is where I grew up. This is where I'm married and raising my children here. So it's a very special place. And as a person that's interested in local history, I've seen lots of trends and really have witnessed, the first, 20 some years of my career. Well, they were your typical, you'd have to learn a skill set in business to really stay in business, and it wasn't for the faint of heart, because we had gone through many years of loss of confidence, and it was a difficult cycle. Now, living through that and having only known that, you find ways to get pretty ingenious and creative about making things happen. And that's why I don't think people realize that stock we have, that Saskatchewan stock, that Saskatoon stock that makes us hardy, because we've been able to weather so many things and come out ahead. So sometimes when people leave this city, they are ultra performers in other jurisdictions, because they just do what they do every day. So, seeing the boom, which sort of started around 2007, and generally booms in cities, last technically 3 to 5 years. So we had a much longer boom, and I would consider that we haven't returned to where we were before. I mean, it is not the same city. My wife moved here from Quebec in 2001, and it was kind of nice, because she was able to see a literal transformation of the city before her eyes, sort of a before and after. And sitting today here in the Maserati dealership, that in itself, and this is something very recent, I mean, the whole psychology has changed. And so, like I said, we struggled hard in those first 20 some years, and then we looked like geniuses in the last 10 years. I still have a lot of hope for our economy. We've had some adjustments. We grew rapidly. We welcomed, literally, just thinking of you're adding the size of small cities onto our city every year, practically. And we did that for close to 10 years or more straight. So we're really in a better place right now. And we've had some corrections. There was a little bit of overbuilding in the apartment condo style sector. I think that absorption is working itself out. We're fortunate that we have a lot of players in our real estate market that are long-term people in Saskatoon, that have significant financial depth, and they're able to ride it out. And we're on the other side of that already, and you see that. And what I feel is that people have that optimism, that sense of hey, we're something, we're a real city, has not diminished, and we've been able to ride through that. That's why I have great confidence. And you know, economists say that you know, cities after, I don't know, 300,000 or 400,000 and a certain amount of factors, they sort of start to bubble. They kind of fuel themselves. And I definitely think we weren't there, but I think we're there now. And that's why we have this resilience to continue. And we have a really positive attitude, and we've welcomed such we're a much more diverse and dynamic city. So that, you know, our ability to continue to attract people, because when people come here, I know that my wife coming from Quebec, she would think that, those typical hay bale and those images of Saskatchewan, which we're proud of, but again, sometimes we don't do a great job of promoting what a dynamic city, what a clean city, what a friendly city, what a world-class university that we have here. And that's why I always get a kick out of bringing people that have never been here before, and they're Canadians from other parts of the country, and they come here, and you start showing them stuff, and they're amazed. They just can't believe it, you know? We have running water and electricity too, you know?
Who would have thought? When we spoke a little while ago at some junior achievement functions, when you see the young entrepreneur, do you have flashbacks, or do you see yourself more as a mentor now, or are you able to offer and kind of offer some input for people like you were back then?
Well, I think it's an important thing. My father, in the era of service clubs, when he was a lifelong member of Lions Club, and he had always believed in the necessity to give back, to not just pile up our good fortune and keep it for ourselves, but to share it. And you can share your time or your talent and your money, and we have many people that are doing that in Saskatoon. So I obviously encourage people to continue to do that. I remember when I was in, I think, grade 9, and junior achievement was just kind of coming to Saskatoon, and I was in grade 9. That was the start of the program. It was pretty new, and he was in grade 12, and he was grade 12 and grade 9. Those are big age differences at that time, and there was sort of an election to be treasurer. And so he made a speech, and then I went up there and I made a really good speech, and so I was elected, and then I had no idea what I was doing. So you learn a lot from those experiences, and it's nice to see the entrepreneurs that we have, and that is really the lifeblood of our local economy. And we need to do, as a community, a better job of lifting up our young people, of saluting them, of congratulating them, and encouraging them to get into business. There's no reason why that we can't do business in our city, in our province, in our country, internationally, right from Saskatoon. And there are so many success stories, whether it be many companies that are producing things that we have no idea of. So we need to do a better job and get on our pulpit and tell our story, the success stories that are happening here, because we don't realize that. The people that live here don't realize the incredible entrepreneurs and the things that have come out of this city. And we need to do a better job of that. So I encourage people it's important that we're modest, but I think that's part of the new attitude, is that we can continue to be modest and polite, but we better let people know that we've got something going here. We can celebrate this success, and it's okay. It's okay. We don't have to feel guilty about it, and we want to try to bring along as many people as we can to enjoy what's happening here.
That was then. This is now. Just close us out with your prediction for the future from your chair. What you see for the city from your standpoint in the next 6 months to a year.
Well, I see continued growth. I actually said that whatever blurb that we've gone through, is relatively modest. We've, again, attributing to some of the base things that we have in place that we're percolating as our own sort of self-functioning city, that we weathered that very well. So I see most of those, any of those issues clearing out. We're continuing to welcome new people. I think that was a real big part of our growth is to invite people to come live here, whether they're from other provinces, other countries. That was a great part of our success. So I hope to see more of that, and we need to get out there and promote ourselves. So I think that the next 6 months going forward, I think I have a lot of optimism for what I see.
Patrick, you're part of the success of this city. I want to thank you for your contributions, and we look forward to seeing more of it.
You bet. Thank you, Randy.
Good.
You bet.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.